Welcome to Morning Live. Thank you very much for choosing to stay with us. An interesting fundraising initiative is in the form of an auction is underway, spearheaded by RSK's sports anchor, commentator and analyst Jody Hendricks. He is on a massive drive to raise funds for the Helderberg Stroke Support Group. On offer is the Under-21 World Cup winning jersey of retired Australian rugby player Clyde Rathbone, who at that stage was playing for South Africa Under-21 team. Jody joins me in studio this morning. Jody, good morning. Welcome to Morning Live.
Thanks, Sam. Thanks for having me.
Let's talk about how this fundraising initiative came about.
Well, Clyde and I met in 2004. You know, he was captain of the South African Under-21 team in 2002 that won the World Cup, and that team had players like Jean de Villiers, Schalk Burger, Guthrie Steenkamp, Fourie du Preez, who all went on to win the World Cup for South Africa. And he had an injury in 2003, and because the union that he was contracted to at the time didn't want to cover his medical bills, he decided to go and further his career in Australia, and he qualified to play for Australia because his grandmother was Australian. And remember, Jake White was coach of the 2002 World Cup winning team. So in 2003, he went to Australia. He said a lot of nasty things at the time about why he didn't.
I remember.
Yeah. And then he came back in 2004, and I think it was his first trip back to South Africa in 2004 after he left. And I did an interview with him, and we stayed in contact ever since. And then last year, after his retirement from the game, he put on Facebook that he was giving away all his rugby jerseys that he accumulated during his playing career. And I pitched for him, and I pitched for the Under-21 jersey. And he couriered it to me, as simple as that. And he couriered it to me last year, November already. But due to the post office strike, I only got it like a month ago. Yeah, so that's the short of it.
Why did you want the Under-21 jersey, and who is the Helderberg Stroke Group?
Well, the Under-21 jersey, obviously being South African, I wanted, something that was, that could play a part in South African rugby. And if you also take the history into account, only 3 Under-21 teams has ever won the Under-21 World Cup. It was in '99, it was in 2002 when Clyde was captain, and then in 2005 when Peter de Villiers was coach. And then, so I pitched for this jersey, he couriered it to me, like I said, and the only condition that he gave me was that I use it to raise money for a charity. And I looked at a couple of charities. I decided on the Helderberg Stroke Foundation. Clyde okayed it, and he said I can go ahead. He couriered the jersey to me, and now we're on this massive fundraising campaign to raise money for them.
What was it about the Helderberg Stroke Group that appealed to you, that said, this is the organization that I'd like to raise funds for?
Well, I like I said, I looked at various sporting codes, sporting organizations, and because the one thing that actually tipped me to give them the money, or the money that will be raised from this jersey, is because they had most of their government funding cut last year.
Okay.
So they're really struggling, and they're doing a lot of good work, and I decided to raise some money for them.
Okay, so let's talk about, and obviously you got hold of them, they were really keen about the fund. What are some of just to light some of our viewers, what are some of the challenges that they're facing at that?
Well,
you talked about the government funding that was cut.
Well, they support about 5 homes in the Helderberg area in Cape Town. It's where they give not only support to stroke people who had strokes, but also to the families. They take the people on outings. They do a lot of good work, and it's support-based, like, the Helderberg Stroke Support Group. So they support not only stroke survivors, but also their families as well.
How does the auction process happen?
Well, people can do it in various forms. I think the easiest one would probably be on social networks. Using Facebook or Twitter, where you can update the status or tweet to say, I'm willing to pay X amount, and use the hashtag Clyde's jersey. And then people can also SMS me on 0722 452570, or they can email me on hendricks.jody@gmail.com. At the moment, I have a bid from a guy in Port Elizabeth who said he's willing to pay 5,000 rand, so that's where we're at the moment, and we're hoping to raise some more for this jersey in front of us, yeah.
Okay, what is that amount in your mind that you want to raise?
Well, the minimum that I said, because I spoke to a couple of people and rugby lovers before, and the one guy told me, as a rugby lover and knowing the history of Clyde Rathbone, he's willing to pay up to 5,000 rand. So I'm happy with that, but like I said, it's for a good initiative, and the more money we can raise, the better.
We want to raise as much as we can.
As much as we can, basically, yes.
Okay, and I mean, this is assigned by Clyde, and just the kind of support, you're in contact with him. He's wholeheartedly supported.
He's wholeheartedly supported it. I spoke to him yesterday. Actually, we're doing a radio interview on Monday evening. He's done a couple of newspaper interviews, so he's in this 100%, and he's also promoted it on his Twitter feed and his Facebook page.
Okay, give us that Facebook and Twitter feed again quickly.
People can just basically they can follow me at Jody Hendricks, or they can use the hashtag Clyde's jersey, and they'll see all the details there.
Okay, and let's put in that bid. It's sitting at 5,000, but maybe, who knows? If you want a part of sports history memorabilia, this is the way to go. You can log on to Twitter and Facebook. That was RSG sports anchor, commentator and analyst Jody Hendricks talking to us about the fundraising initiative he's spearheading on behalf of the Helderberg Stroke Support Group.